This show is brought to you by X Factor FM. Attention all units. Time to rise and grind. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. You put in the hours on the job site, the factory floor, and the rigs. But here, right now, the mission is different. Welcome to Operation Fatherhood. The mission brief is simple. Lead with strength, guide with heart, show up for your kids like you show up for your work site. Every single day, no excuses. This is your call to gear up, step in, and execute the most important role of life, being a dad. Operation Fatherhood, hard hats, soft hearts. The mission starts now. Welcome back, dads. Welcome back to Operation Fatherhood. This one's going to get a little deep. This one is definitely going to get a little deep. Again, the title of this episode is When the Job Breaks You Down, talking a little bit about mental health. So really lock in and focus on, the mental health aspect of what it is being a provider, also what it is being a dad. I know a lot of times, we struggle with all the things that we have going on around us. We struggle with things that, sometimes are out of our control, and it really, puts a big weight on our shoulders, puts a big weight on our back. I really think that we need to start focusing as dads, as men, and just as, the workforce, those that are in the blue collar and the trades, out in the heat and the elements, right? The job, the stresses of the job, focus a little bit more on our mental health. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is we need to start taking time for ourselves. Because again, us men, we try to fix everything. We try to be able to, provide a solution, give something, that we can, fix a problem, give back as much as we possibly can. But are we giving enough to ourselves? Right? For those fathers out there that hold it all together at work, but feel like they're falling apart on the inside, this episode is for you guys. So again, when the job breaks you down, let's jump right into it. There's a lot of hidden weights, hidden things that we as men hide, tuck away, that we carry, right? The blue collar jobs and everything that we deal with puts a lot of physical demand on our bodies. There's lots of stuff that goes on throughout the day, the lifting, the pushing, the carrying around the tools, the climbing flights of stairs, the jumping in and out of excavations, all types of things that, put wear and tear on the body. But those same stresses also put a wear and tear on your mental health. Yes, we are thinking about home when we're at work. Yes, we are thinking about, man, am I going to make enough to pay these bills, right? Am I going to be the dad that I need to be, being out here in the trades, making the money, being the provider? Are my kids going to understand, at a young age, why dad is always away, or why dad always has to, live in a hotel and pack a bag. Again, this is a lot of weight that us dads carry, and there seems to be this unspoken expectation for us men to just tough it out, right? To just, you're a guy, you can get through it. You're tough, tough it out. But in reality, it's more than just toughing it out. Yes, again, we are prideful beings as men, as those dads that are in the blue collar workforce, and even in the white collar workforce. This is for everybody that's needs to hear the message. All dads of all walks of life. It's not just about toughing it out. It's not just about, get up, dust your, you fall, you get up, you dust yourself off and you keep moving. No, there's some things that go on, that happen, to us, and we don't talk about our emotions a lot. Again, we tuck a lot of stuff away. We compartmentalize a lot of those things that happen. A lot of the, I don't want to say traumas, but a lot of the stressors, a lot of the things that get to us throughout the day, being away from home, and we just tuck those away. And, again, we have a smile on our face. We say we're good, right? But a lot of times we are not good. So I will iterate this throughout the entire episode. Fellas, if you need someone to talk to, please speak up. There are too many male in the workforce suffering from mental health. Some of us have had that willpower to fight those negative thoughts, to be able to fight what's going on in our own head and work through it. Some have not been so lucky. To those fallen brethren that have went the other route because they could not withstand it. Please speak up. Let somebody know what's going on. If you're having, if you want to call me, shoot me a DM. If you're having any kind of issues, please reach out. Right? Because there's a lot of times where we have those quiet moments of doubt, wondering if our efforts as men, as fathers, even matter sometimes, right? Sometimes we feel like, are we good enough? Are we making enough? Are we providing enough? Right? We start to second guess, our own being, of being a dad, of being a provider, being a husband, right? So, man, I cannot tell you, there's been many a times, and I will say this, I'm going to get a little vulnerable in this episode as well. There's been a lot of times where I had that quiet doubt. Like, am I good enough? Am I going to be a great dad? Am I going to be somebody that, my kids look up to? Am I going to be able to provide the way I need to provide? So it definitely takes a toll. Do not hide those feelings, those emotions. Talk to somebody. Reach out. Right? Emotional burnout. Damn, I had a tongue twister there. Holy crap. Emotional burnout can definitely look like silence. It can look like anger. It can look like numbness, to where you're cold. You're just, nothing is bothering you in a sense, but everything is. But that emotional burnout is not weakness. Let me just say that again to the dads who are new in the construction field, new to the trades, new to the blue collar life. That emotional burnout, that silence, that anger, that sometimes isolation that we tend to have, it's not weakness, guys. It's not weakness. It's just the weight of the world that we are carrying around us, right? And we're getting burnt out. We're working 12, 14, 16-hour days, but then also dealing with a lot of different, a lot of different personalities on the job site, a lot of different, people that we come in contact with, while also trying to maintain the household, trying to make sure we talk to the kids, trying to make sure that they have what they need and they don't go without. So do not hold those hidden weights in, dads. Please talk about it. Here's a couple of, just real world scenarios, right? That you might think a dad is carrying that weight. Again, a construction worker missing his kid's game because of overtime, right? The overtime ends up paying the bills. The overtime ends up making money for the car notes and stuff that we have. But again, that silent moment of doubt, like, wondering if your efforts are even, worth it. Is that overtime worth missing that kid's game. And again, we've all been there. I know I've missed many a games. I've missed many a birthdays. I've missed many a things happening in school. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Or a lineman coming home after a 16-hour shift and just too tired to talk. Kids want to play, not right now. The wife might want to, have some quality time, some talk. He's just not wanting to talk. Like it's just one of those things. You need time to decompress. But again, we push that back. And we compartmentalize, and sometimes that ends up, we compartmentalize so much, we, put so much, on the back burner, in our minds, that a lot of times it ends up coming out, and sometimes it's portrayed in the wrong way. It seems like, we're angry at whoever we might be talking to, or it seems like we might be, taking our stresses out on the person, right? Your significant other, your spouse, sometimes your kids, they feel it, they see it. But, that's why we need to talk. That's why we definitely need to talk and not hold these hidden weights in, dads. Here's a couple of tips that, might help you, again, from suffering the burnout, from, all those, self-doubting, limiting factors that you have. Right. When you start to recognize those signs of burnout, that irritability very quickly, you're constantly exhausted. You want to be alone a lot of the time. Your loss of motivation. Right. When you start recognizing that, you need to tell yourself, hey, I'm feeling burnt out. Take some PTO, take some days off. Again, a lot of times us being out in the field, being travel, being on the road, it's not that easy. Hell, I'll give up a Saturday and a Sunday to, have, in a sense, some time to recharge that battery, sometimes to get your mind right. And sometimes you need that. You definitely need that. Talk before you explode. Call a friend, a coworker, right? Even your spouse. Sometimes your spouse ends up being the stressor that, that is contributing to this burnout, right? And again, not every marriage is the same. Not everything is going to be, sunshine and rainbows, in a marriage. But again, sometimes there are those relationships that, the spouse is constantly, being negative, maybe putting you down, saying, XYZ, not saying that this is happening, but it could be. This is, an example. But talk to somebody, right? If you have a good relationship with your significant other, your spouse, talk. Open lines of communication work wonders just for you to be able to, express how you're feeling. Somebody hear what's going on, and maybe just be that shoulder to lean on, to cry on, an ear to listen. Like that's sometimes really all it takes. And then take pride in your work, but don't let it consume your identity. And what that means is, yes, be prideful in the product you put out, right? Take pride in your work. If you're a craftsman working with your hands, if you're somebody that, that builds stuff, you're an operator, you're doing it to the best of your ability, take pride in your work, but do not let that consume your identity and define who you are. You're not just an operator. You're an operator doing a job to provide for a family, to provide for kids that you have at home. So your identity, first and foremost, a man, a dad, a husband, right? A boyfriend, significant other, fiance, and then your job title. That is not your identity. Your job title is not your identity. Okay. Those other titles that you have, those other hats that you wear, that's what we need to focus on. Being a dad, being there to be able to, help with homework, being able to be consistent, constantly showing up. And again, it's hard. It's hard sometimes when you're on the road. talking about mental health maintenance. And again, like I said, this we might get vulnerable. We might, I'm here to help the dads out there that are doing the damn thing, that are showing up, and help the dads that are new to this game, new to this fatherhood thing, that are out in the blue collar world as well. So just like you maintain your tools and your truck and everything is good, your mind deserves the same care. You need to make sure that your mind is clear. You're thinking the right way. You have the right thoughts. And the way I was once told is, there is no way in hell that you yourself can fill somebody else's cup if yours isn't full or overflowing. Yes, it can be full, but it has to kind of be overflowing in order for you to be able to help somebody else or fill somebody else's cup. So we got to think about self first. And I know that sounds a little selfish, but sometimes we as dads, as parents, have to be a little selfish when it comes to our mental health and our self-care. So that way, then when we're good at 100%, the battery's charged, the mindset is right, then we'll be able to go and provide and take care of those kids, making sure that, our mind is clear when we're helping with homework, or when we're teaching them how to ride a bike, or we're have them in the garage helping with the project, right? They're not, you're not snapping at them. You're not being angry. Like, everything is good. And taking care of your mental health doesn't make you weak. It keeps you sharp. I will say that again. Taking care of your mental health does not make you weak. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps that mental clarity clear and focused on the mission of being that good provider, that good dad that, I know you are and you're striving to be. So just keep that in mind, that it does not make you weak. Taking care of your mental health, taking a mental health day, and a mental health day. And, again, I come from an era where, again, you don't talk about your feelings. You figure it out. Like, again, like I said, you just tough it out, dust your shoulders off and keep going. But this, as time has gone on and things that I have been through, it helps to talk about what's going on, right? Emotionally, mentally, like, talk about it. So that way, and even if, talk to your pastor, like I said, you can talk to your spouse, talk to, a coworker, old service member that you were with, a fellow shipmate, somebody that you were in the military with. Talk to somebody. And the stigma of therapy and talking openly among working men, we need to break that, guys. Dads, we need to break that stigma. Why? Because we are losing too many people, too many men, too many dads to suicide, because they are not being open about their mental health, because nobody is wanting to, and again, because of the ego, some of the pride, right? We have that stigma. Like, I'm not going to go talk to somebody about my feelings, about how I'm feeling, about my mental. Like, I'm not weak. It is not weakness, dads. It is not weakness, guys. Please, please, please. Let's break that stigma of therapy. Let's break that stigma of being able to openly talk about how we are feeling, what is bothering us. So that way, again, we can regain that mental clarity and focus and be able to provide for our babies, provide for the kids, right, that we have. Bottling things up bleeds into fatherhood. It does. It does, right? You bottle shit up at work. You bottle up stuff like, that might have happened in the past. You bottle up stuff that might have happened between you and your spouse, and that overflows into your day-to-day interaction with the kids sometimes. But the openness, the talking about it can break that cycle, right? So that way you're not blowing up at the kids. You're not bringing those things into the fatherhood, right, portion of being a man, of being a dad. So write shit down. right? I know there's times where, and I have a bunch of notebooks and stuff that, I sometimes write my thoughts down, how I'm feeling that day, and see if the day can get better. Like, I think even putting that to paper, and I've said this before as well, like being able to write something down, coming from a thought to it being on a piece of paper. Now it's something tangible, right? So you can, look back on it, reflect on it. It's actually something you can put in your hands. It's not just in your head and goes away with the next thought, or pushing it back in that file cabinet that all us dads have, up there in our brains. But it actually makes it tangible. And if it's something that you want to work towards, like opening up, like breaking the stigma, like being able to talk to somebody, write that shit down, read it, talk to yourself, and build up that courage to go talk to somebody. Right. And I think dads, we have a lot of time. Some dads don't like talking to anybody. Now, I have a very, very, very small circle of people that I'm able to talk to. But when I feel the need, I can talk to them. Hey, I'm open. So, and here's a couple more scenarios of, making sure that your mental health, and making sure that maintenance on the mental health is good. So just picture a dad breaking down in his truck after work because he's carrying too much alone. Right. And again, not breaking down, not the truck breaking down, but him breaking down. Right. Sometimes driving home from work. Yes, we turn on that radio. We might stop to get us a six pack to, for when we get home or whatnot. But then there's sometimes we're traveling in silence and we just start thinking about the day, start thinking about what's going on around us. And again, like I said, those doubts, that doubt, that quiet doubt that starts to come. Am I good enough? Am I a good provider? Am I a good dad? All of that comes down. And again, you break down on the side of the road because you're carrying too much by yourself. Okay. So make sure, and I will continue to say this, make sure to talk to somebody, guys. Talk to somebody. Or picture a crew foreman realizing his temper on the job is really anxiety off of the job. So have you ever had one of them foremen that just comes to work all pissed off all the fucking time? And pardon my language, but all the time, foremen that come to work pissed off at the world all the time. That might be somebody, a dad, that might be suffering from anxiety off the job, but doesn't know how to express that and ends up taking it out when he gets to the job. Because it's easy, right? It's easy for him to be able to, bark orders and get pissed off while he's on the job site. But when he gets off the job site, that's the anxiety kicking in. Again, taking on too much, not talking about what's going on. A couple of tips. Make sure that you treat self-care like preventative maintenance. Good exercise, good sleep, healthy meals, right? This all helps. And again, a lot of times being on the road, being able to, have that might not be always feasible. Living in the hotels, they don't have a kitchen, you're, microwave dinners, eating out fast food, maybe not getting the exercise that we need, not getting the sleeps because we're working the long hours. We've all been there. But when you start to, treat that self-care like preventative maintenance, because again, the body tells you when you're, hey, you need to cool it on drinking these monsters, or hey, maybe your ass needs to go to sleep because you've been up 36 hours, so make sure that you're treating it like preventative maintenance, getting that good sleep, eating healthy meals, as healthy as you can. Right. And again, everybody's diet is different. Everybody eats differently. Not saying I'm not a dietitian, not somebody that's telling you something on how you need to eat, but it will help you. I tell you, I feel better being on the carnivore diet, me personally, getting exercise, which then gets good sleep. So yeah, man, it has definitely helped. It has given me a lot of mental focus. Again, sometimes eating the carbs, eating the fast food meals, the truck stop meals, for my dads that are on the road drivers, right? Eating the pilots and the loves, the food there, yes, but and it makes you feel it fills you up, you're good, but then it makes you feel sluggish. So being on the carnivore diet myself, I definitely feel better. So just a tip, a dad to another dad, if you want to try the carnivore diet, test it out, see how it works. Use commutes to decompress. Don't just think about the next shift. Don't just think about the shift you came off of, right? Use that time to decompress, right? Get in your truck, take a deep breath before you start that bad boy up. Maybe call the kids, call the spouse, and take that time from the time you're leaving the job, either to get home or, again, if you're working away, if you're out of town, to get to the hotel or wherever you're living at, and just decompress. Today was a good day. I am a great dad. I am a great provider, right? And just decompress. And again, I'm telling you, these are words of affirmation that you can tell yourself, right? To build that self-esteem up, to build that mental clarity, right? Like I said, journaling once a week, even bullet points, helps you unload that mental clutter that we keep inside our heads, right? Because we're thinking about, the next shift, the hours on the paycheck, when's the next, holiday weekend, long weekend? Am I going to get double time if I end up working that weekend? All these things, right? Journal at least once a week. Put all those, bullet points on there, all those thoughts and what you have going on in your head down on a piece of paper. And like I said, it makes it something tangible. Seek community. Seeking community can help you maintain that mental health. Church groups, dad circles, just like this one. There's a group of dads that are listening to this right now, right? I'm a dad. I'm here. If you need to talk, my phone line, my DMs, emails are always open. So reach out. Your union brothers, right? Any type of support group or support system that you have, seek community, right? And again, when you're out and about, on the weekends, we get off of work, we hit the bar up, you throw a couple back. That's okay to do from time to time. Not every day, not every weekend, but being able to maintain some sort of support group, support system, going to play golf, maybe you like shooting guns, right? Going to the range. But make sure that you're seeking that community. Make sure that you're talking up so we break that stigma, right? That it's okay for us to talk about what we got going on, to talk about our mental health, to express how we are feeling physically, emotionally, mentally. So how are you going to rebuild yourself when the job has broken you down, right? How are you going to rebuild yourself without falling apart? There's strength in knowing when to take that step back, right? And what do I mean by that? When you start to realize that, you are falling apart, you are, in a sense, on a way down to rock bottom, take a step back, right? Maybe it's time for a job change. Maybe it's time for a location change. You've been on a location for too long, right? So make sure that you take that step back, gain clarity. There's an acronym that we used to use. It was called ZIZO. Zoom in and zoom out. A lot of times we are so zoomed in, we don't take time to zoom out and see the big picture from the bird's eye view, 6 months down the road, a year down the road. What are we, striving for? What are we looking forward to? So take that step back. There's real strength in that, guys. Teaching your kids that real men rest, reflect, and rise again. The resiliency that we are able to teach our kids, right? When they see us at our worst, but then they also see us reflecting on what happened, getting better, at least 1% better than the day before. And then we continue to strive and get back up on our feet and get better and do better. That teaches our kids commitment. It teaches our kids resiliency on how to not give up, right? And also it teaches our kids how to be open about their emotions, right? And again, I know I was always told this, you fall off your bike, get up, dust your knees off. If you have a scrape, you get cut or something, put a little dirt on it, keep it moving. I know I told my daughters this, but also letting them understand it's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to be able to, say that, hey, I might be at a point where I'm feeling burnt out. It's okay. It's okay. And prime example, right? This is a personal prime example. My daughter that plays softball, right? She had been playing and has been playing since she was 8 years old, right? 8U. Started off in rec league, right? She wanted to try it out. Come to find out, she was actually pretty good, right? Again, 8U, they don't know how to throw all the way. They don't know how to bat all the way. But, as she got better, she tried out for an 8U select team. Still coach pitch, but it's getting them in the more fast-paced softball. So being a girl dad and having her go out there, compete at a level that was a little bit higher than, rec league, making her, go to these practices and whatnot. And as she got older, there came a point in time where she got burnt out and she said, hey, I don't want to play softball anymore. It's no longer fun. And so she took a couple years off, right? If she had not expressed that and we would have told her, no, you're going to do it, you're going to play, she probably, wouldn't have wanted to play. She would have made every excuse not to play. And we gave her that time. And then as she got a little older, she circled back and said, hey guys, I want to play softball again. Okay, great. Because she's a great little athlete. She loves playing the sport. She's very good at it. But we told her it's not going to be us telling you, hey, you need to put in the work. Now it's you. It's you against you. So you have to tell yourself that you need to put in the work. You want to play. You have to tell yourself that you need to, be able to get better. But if she had not expressed that she was feeling burnt out, imagine what would have happened if we would have insisted on her playing, if we would have kept her in and forced her to play versus her speaking those feelings. So us at the same time, we need to make sure that we're, speaking out, when we're feeling burnt out, finding those small wins, right? One repaired fence, one walk, one honest conversation that we have as dads, as husbands, as providers, as fathers, right? Those small wins. Okay, I got one fence repaired. Awesome. I went on one walk this week. Next week I'm going to try for 2 walks. I had one honest conversation. Next week I'm going to have 3 honest conversations. And sometimes those honest conversations aren't with another person. They're with ourselves, believe it or not. And that's a win in itself, right? When we're able to, have that honest conversation, look yourself in the mirror and have that honest conversation. Where are you fucking up at? Where are you striving at? And find that win, right? That honest conversation, I think, helps along. It goes a long way because then it shows growth. It shows growth as a man. It shows growth as a father. It shows growth as a husband. So just make sure that, you're focusing on the small wins. If you have big wins, hey, those are amazing. I cannot complain about a big win, but the small wins, they add up and they matter. Reconnecting with hobbies and passions that remind you who you are outside of work. Again, like I said, your job title is not your identity. What you do on the outside of work, like me, I podcast, right? I live stream, I DJ. And it was crazy. It was a surprise because my daughters didn't know that I DJ'd the way I did online until they finally, watched one of the lives. And then they were like, hey, you should do this. And they give me like little, tips and playlists and maybe, get the set list, that helps me. So yeah, reconnect with the hobbies. If you like woodworking, great. Pick that up. If you like going on hikes, right? You go camping anytime that you have off. Hey, go camping, reconnect with those things that you do outside of work. But also when you're reconnecting with those things, teach your kids some of those things. So that way, again, you're not going to force our interests on our kids. Like I would never force my kids to do podcasts. I would never force my kids to, live stream and learn how to do all the tech stuff. If they want to learn, great. I'll be here to teach them. But us as dads, let's start reconnecting with those hobbies and those passions that we have outside of work, right? If you like building fences, you like, like I said, woodworking, making furniture, do that shit outside of work. So that way, again, that is your recharge. That is your, your decompress and being able to fill your cup up to be able to then provide and fill everybody else's cup around you. Couple of tips: set a mental reset ritual after every tough week. That be the gym, that be a quiet drive, that be time with your kids, that be date night with your spouse. Set up that mental reset because we need those from time to time. Like my mental resets, believe it or not, throughout the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, when I DJ live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that in a sense is a mental, especially if you're working the weekend, it's a mental reset. I get to just vibe out, rock out to some good tunes, and I enjoy doing it because it sparks my creativity. I'm able to connect with people, and music brings people together in ways you wouldn't even imagine. But being able to do that's kind of my mental reset while I'm away. Now, mental reset when I'm home, having family time, vegging out on the couch, watching movies with the kids, going out to the gun range, and the girls wanting to go shoot guns like with me, and we all go, and that's a mental reset. That's fun shit that we like to do. So again, think about setting that mental reset. Do not mask stress with alcohol or anger. Let me say that one more time. Do not mask your stress in the bottle. Okay? Do not go out drinking Sunday to Sunday because you're stressed out. Because again, those limiting factors. And again, it's okay to do it from time to time within moderation. But if you replace those habits with connection and movement, then you're setting yourself up. You're making that mental maintenance a priority. So again, do not mask your stress with alcohol, with anger, habits that make you move, that connect, those groups that we talked about. The groups that we talked about, the church groups, you going out with your buddies, and again, a lot of times when we do go, drink alcohol, we're drinking with the guys, with the same guys that sometimes piss us off, with the same supervisors that sometimes are assholes on the job. It's because they're masking their stress with the alcohol and anger. Don't do that, guys. It's gonna be bad. It'll lead to bad things. So please don't do that. And remember, even machines need downtime to operate at their best. And what do I mean? You need your time off. You need your rest. We are not machines, right? Even the machines get, preventative maintenance. They get scheduled maintenance. Why? Because they need to be recalibrated, lubed up, nuts and bolts tightened, heads of the CNC machines changed out, right? The tools, think about your tools that you use every now and then. If you're using them, 24/7, they're going to wear and tear, and then you're going to have to get a new one. We only have one body. We only have one mind. So it needs to be able to have that downtime, to recharge, to be able to perform at our peak, at our best, and be the best dads that we can be. Being a girl dad, I tell you, being a girl dad, showing strength through vulnerability. Whew, man, I tell you, being in the military and being a girl dad and trying to show strength through vulnerability is hard, right? Kids learn strength not by how much you can lift, not by the specific job that you do, but from how you recover, and not just how much you endure. Okay, that's where they're learning their resiliency, their strength. They're learning how to maneuver life. So again, sometimes you need to be a little vulnerable with your kids, right? Again, your significant other, your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, right? Be vulnerable with them. But when it comes time to where you need to talk to the kids, you need to be vulnerable with the kids a little bit, so they kind of grasp and get their head wrapped around, what dad is going through. But it also teaches them that resiliency and strength. It creates a deeper respect when you are vulnerable. Like, shit, my dad's human. My dad has emotion. Like, I don't. And again, being a girl dad, if I were to, say, hey, I'm tired, or, my body's tired, I'm, my mental is not all the way there. My girls would, they definitely will say, well, why don't you come home, relax, chill. And they're the first ones to look out for their dad. And I love that. But it also shows them, that it creates a deeper respect, because I am being vulnerable with them. And it doesn't make me less of a dad. And the courage that it takes, again, this is showing strength. The courage that it takes for you to say, I'm not okay, but I'm working on it. Holy shit. I'm not okay, but I'm working on it. That is very strong and powerful around the right people, around your family members, around your significant other, your spouse, around your kids, because it's showing them that strength, because you're saying that you're working on it. We're figuring it out as we do as dads and as men, but it shows the courage that you have to be vulnerable. So model emotional honesty at home, right? Let your kids see how you cope responsibly, how you're working through this, right? And again, it's an image that we don't want our kids to see. It's an image that we don't want our kids to see us being, and being not okay. But at the same time, emotional honesty, being emotional and emotionally intelligent and honest with our kids. That way they know how to cope. That way they start building their own coping, mechanisms and how to walk through life. And again, they emulate what they see, right? And who are the prime examples? The mom and dads of the house. So make sure that, we model that emotional honesty at home. Here's another tip. Have check-in moments, right? With your with your partner. 5 minutes of real talk, no distractions, especially if you're away, right? Being able to talk about, how the day was, express, what stressed you out, listen, right? To your spouse. Don't make it a one-way street, because that's a shitty feeling, but make it, to where y'all both can talk about certain things and decompress, and those check-in moments. Hey, are you doing all right? How can I help? Vice versa. And that will also help that mental maintenance go a long way. And dads, replace that perfection that we're striving for. And again, as men and provider, we are striving for perfection, but replace that with presence. Your family needs you, dad, not a superhero. They don't need Superman. They might think you're Superman and you might be their hero, but they don't need a superhero. They need you. They need you, dad. So again, stop trying to be perfect. The mindset, great. If you want to be perfect and achieve that in the mind, great. But replace that with presence. Being present with your kids, being present, for those things that they got going on. Yeah, they need you. They don't need Superman. They don't need Batman. Unless you got little ones and you dress up in a costume for the birthday, right? The second or third birthday, dress up as Spider-Man. That's cool. That they need that too. But again, they don't need a superhero. They just need a dad that's there. They need a father that's there, somebody to guide them, to protect and provide for them. So stop trying to be perfect, because we're not going to be, right? But we can be the dads, again, not knowing everybody's situation, being the dads that we needed back when we were their age. Just think about that. Be the dad that you needed back when you were their age. Okay. So, but yeah, man, a couple motivational quotes for you guys before we get up out of here. Again, you fix everything for everyone else. Now it's time to fix yourself. I'm going to repeat that one, because that is so true. You fix everything for everyone else. Now it's time to fix yourself. And here's one more. A strong father doesn't hide his cracks. He repairs them and keeps building. Shows resiliency. Shows strength. So keep putting up that good fight, my good brothers. If you have anything you need to talk about, mentally, physically, emotionally, my line is always open. You can reach us on the email. You can email me, DM me any time of day, and I will get back to you. Please, please, please. If you don't have anybody to talk to, please reach out. But please, please make sure that your kids don't, know that they don't need a perfect dad. Again, we try to be perfect in every aspect of fatherhood, but they don't need a perfect dad. They need a healed one. They need somebody that's mentally clear, focused, that's there, that's going to be present, somebody that's not going to be isolated, somebody that's not going to be angry all the time. And the way we give them that, by talking about our emotions, by being able to express how we're feeling, finding those support groups, and then filling up our cups to the brim, if not overflowing, so that way we can pour into our kids, into our marriage, into our spouse, into others around us. But our cups have to be filled first in order to do that. So I'm Joe the Sound Guy signing off. Again, greatly appreciate everybody for tapping in. Y'all check out the email there in the show notes. And again, if y'all want to be a guest on the podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. The Operation Fatherhood. Stay strong, stay steady, and lead the mission. I will see y'all next week. Peace.